the money.
That's what I always say. You always follow the money.
Yeah.
This is Follow the Money with Mitch Moss and Paulie Howard on VSiN.
Here we go. Welcome in. It is Follow the Money on VSiN, the Sports Betting Network. Mitch Moss along with Paulie Howard. Yes, we are live next 3 hours. Downtown Las Vegas from the Circa Resort and Casino. Big program lined up today. Paul Charchian in 30 minutes to go over what he liked in the game yesterday and what he watched in the Super Bowl. Arash Markazi from Los Angeles as Luka Doncic makes his debut tonight for the Lakers. And professional sports bettor Aaron Renning on tonight's big NBA card. A little bit later on in the program, we will recap all the big props that came in 15 minutes. To me, there's like an all-time prop story that you can tell, no joke, for the rest of your life if you bet it. A prop that we talked about on this show yesterday and last week. But, Paulie, I guess that was a football game yesterday. So in terms of a gambling standpoint, today's newsletter from Bill Adie, and based on what Las Vegas bookmakers were telling Matt Youmans and Jonathan Von Tobel on the postgame show last night, it was a small win here in Las Vegas, nothing to really write home about. And you compare that to, I think, what other national books were saying. Some of them were basically telling the public that it was one of the best days they've ever had. So why the difference between the results? And bettors, I think, did pretty well here in Nevada overall compared to what they did nationally at popular sports books. To me, it comes down to same game parlays. Because I know one report said that a book had 36% of their same game parlays. Don't quote me on that, but that's what I heard secondhand. 36% of their same game parlays tied into a Saquon Barkley anytime touchdown. He doesn't score. That's a hell of a day. Yep. Right there. Yep. You win everything pretty much at that point.
And Thomas Gable from Borgata told us yesterday on the pregame that there wasn't one bet on the no. So what happened? And then Circa offered Barkley and Kelsey no touchdown, plus 325. It's as you closed the show yesterday, it stings and sucks when the final game is a blowout.
Oh, yes.
And that thing was over in the second quarter, late second quarter. It was glorious to watch the Chiefs get their faces kicked in. There was a call that actually went against them, which was rare. But to just see that domination up front, and they'd never had the blitz, and just pressure. I was stunned. To look at the first half, Kansas City had 5 punts, 2 interceptions, and only 23 yards. And all week, we did Steve Makinen and Benjamin Solak about let's try to predict and guess the box score, right? What if I tell you before the game, Barkley has 57 yards, the Eagles are 3 of 12 on third down, they have an interception in the red zone, they don't convert a fourth down. You'd say Chiefs for all I can get. Chiefs all you can eat, right?
Well, but also tell me the box score at halftime.
Yeah, that's true. That's another one. Yeah.
Because, I mean, the way that they responded after, and we were on the air for the A.J. Brown, and we did not have the volume on, but Tom Brady evidently not happy. I didn't go back and listen, but you did.
That's right, yeah.
Tom Brady not happy with the pass interference, and that was my first reaction.
I'm sorry. Prayer also, you can't make that call. It's a Super Bowl. Yep. There needs to be more, and Brady was as much as he can get. That's Brady outraged.
So they're like driving down to score. That goes against them. And then they have to, punt the ball over to the Chiefs. And the way that their defense responded on that drive in the first half, again, 4 and out, 3 and out, 3 and out, pick 6, 3 and out, interception, 3 and out. That was the Chiefs' first half drive results. So the story of the game, Mahomes obviously was not good in the game. But the story of the game was the pure and utter domination from the front four alone against that Kansas City offensive line. Mm-hmm. Killed them. Yep. Absolutely killed them. I mean, next-gen stats, at one point, Eagles' pressure rate. This is we'll take you through the numbers as the game was progressing. This was, I think, late second quarter. The pressure rate was at 52.4% with a 0% blitz rate. Then the Eagles had a 47% pressure rate in the first half when it was all said and done, the first 30 minutes, again, without blitzing a single time in the game. And Seth Walder had a tweet after the game was over with from ESPN Research that the Eagles blitzed Mahomes, again, full game. On 0 of his 42 dropbacks, Mahomes is the 6th quarterback in Super Bowl history to not be blitzed a single time. All 6 quarterbacks lost. It's way easier said than done, but when you can get a front four to be in I don't care who the quarterback is, when a front four can be in his face all game long, they have no chance. Yep. Game's over with.
Yep. Reminiscent of the Tampa Super Bowl. Yep. And I also will say that's the worst game he's ever played. I mean, he could, between the interceptions, the fumble, and also just missed a lot of throws. Had Kelsey open, missed him. I think it was Brown open for a first down, missed him. Pick six, just atrocious. Horrible job by Mahomes, and good for Fangio. You know, all that 0-8 talk. Fangio with the game of his life, and he was excellent. We can rip an organization later in the show as well. So, but yeah, this was interesting too. It was 2 years ago. It was after the game. There were several Eagle players saying maybe that happens 2 years ago. A lot of players on that team were confident that was going to happen 2 years ago, but because of the field, they couldn't get the pass rush. And what happened? Yeah. So who knows? But that was just the scoreboard is completely misleading.
Oh, 40-22.
I mean, it's 34 rip.
Yeah.
Kansas City can't even get a first down, and Andy Reid calling timeouts down 40-14 with 2 minutes left. And the, oh, by the way, touchdown. So that was a completely misleading score. And if they wanted to, they could have won by 50.
That's 37-6 in the fourth quarter with about 9.5 minutes to play. It's 40-6. 40-6 under 5 minutes to play.
Yeah, there you go.
And the final score was 40-22. Never in the game. Never had a chance. That was just basically an all-time performance from top to bottom by the Eagles, man. That front four, it's reminiscent of the 2008 Super Bowl.
That too.
Because, that was the Patriots and the Giants, but the front four for the Giants, so good. Getting to Brady the entire game, that 18-0 team. Brady said over the weekend during, on the Fox broadcast that, it still eats at him. He's not over it. I don't blame him. Good for him. I love the competitiveness like that. And they had a chance to set history and go 19-0.
That was good. He didn't want to talk to anybody. He was miserable, and I would understand that.
But the Buccaneers Super Bowl a couple years ago, right? Same exact thing, basically, where the offensive line had several issues and injuries for the Chiefs, and they were favorites in that game. Mahomes was running for his life pretty much the entire time. I'll go a couple more here. We brought this up, in recent weeks. It wasn't the Super Bowl, but it was an AFC title game, Patriots at Denver, when Denver had that all-time defense, and they hit Brady during the game like 18, 20 times. And as you said, the Broncos never converted a third down in the second half. They won. They did nothing.
Yep.
But they were incredible on defense, and Brady had no time to breathe. And that's how you do it. That's the perfect recipe. Mm-hmm. All you got to do is find the perfect four guys that you can have up front that will get pressure all the game long, and everybody can just drop back.
Yep. Feel good for Sirianni. He said after the game, the loss to Tampa Bay in the playoffs is the reason they're able to get to where they were at and win this. 18-3 since the Tampa Bay loss. 6 playoff wins. Remember, they started 10-1.
Yep.
And then it's like you lost the locker room. It's a disaster. Brown hurts the relationship. That helped thing. And now he's going to get a big contract. So good for him. And obviously we missed one. I didn't see that coming. But 2 things. We can now break down a football game from now on normal, where we don't have to do this. Eagles are the better team. I love the Eagles. But Mahomes and Reid in a big game and all that business, too. Well, that goes out the window now.
No, that went out the window before this game for me.
Okay.
I said it several times. I'm not bet. And again, I had a piece of this Eagles future ticket, right? Wasn't going to hedge. I thought about it when they were catching 22.5 in the game. I didn't want to give any money away. To me, this was, I could not, the Mahomes magic and getting away with stuff, that I could not factor that in. I could not bet the team based on that. I'm looking at this Eagles team that had the edge pretty much everywhere across the board. And one of the edges, by the way, for the Chiefs was Butker. How'd that play out yesterday? Mm-hmm. So, and Jake
they got out-coached, too.
Yeah.
Moore and Fangio out-coached. Why did you abandon the run? What? You're just going to throw every down?
Yeah.
It's still 10-0 in the second quarter.
Right.
You didn't even bother to run the ball.
No, they
and
never
the other
had.
One, the other one, too, maybe, it's a Super Bowl. It doesn't matter. This is, all the Eagles said this pissed them off with this reaching out to Pat Riley and coming to an agreement. So they had to pay Riley to use the three-peat if they won. And the profanity-laced tirades, too, from several players after the game. Take that bleep, throw it in the trash. We use that as fuel. They're talking about that's, much like the Patriots were doing when they were thinking of go undefeated against the Giants and trademarking this and getting ready. And they just send the T-shirts off to Mexico or whatever it was. Sure. But there were several Eagle players who said that bothered them and fired them up. That they're going to talk about, reach out to Pat Riley and trademark three-peat.
This is not revisionist history because, again, these words came out of my mouth in the 2 weeks leading into the game. I would have rather had Baltimore or Buffalo in the game.
Yes.
Period.
Yeah.
But the Chiefs are the Chiefs, and they do what they, do almost every single year, and to go to Arrowhead and win in the playoffs is virtually impossible. And, you can blame Baltimore all you want for losing at Buffalo. And, I don't know. Is the result any different? Like, did the Bills beat the Eagles yesterday? I'm going to guess probably not.
Yeah. Well, as we said, though, this is the best team, best A game when they
Sure.
were, right? Now, it was weird against Green Bay. They were awful against the Packers. Hurts was rusty. They benefited from 4 turnovers. That should have been an easy win and a blowout. But this team, other than the kicker, who was great yesterday, I mean, you have to love this Eagles team and how they're power rated, and just to go to Cincinnati and bury them, to do what they did here, to go to Baltimore and be down 9 and win the game when Hurts plays like that, when the offense looks like that, to win a game, to blow them out like that, 40-6, as you said, and Barkley does nothing. Incredible.
Well, also, tip of the cap to Howie Roseman, the man in charge of the personnel in Philadelphia. You can trust nobody in the league more than him at winning the offseason, right? Last year, somehow in the draft, Jalen Carter slides to them, and they moved up to get the guy. He's like sitting there at number 9 overall. Nobody's taking him. He's dropping for some stupid reason, right? And the guy's a complete stud. This year in the offseason, they drafted DeJean and Mitchell. Phenomenal draft. Yep. They get Barkley. I mean, it's like every single year that guy is nails at helping put this team together.
Yep, well said.
Drafting Devontae Smith, trading for A.J. Brown. It's like everything he does is awesome.
Mm-hmm. First downs late in the first half. 13-1.
Oh.
Yards, 177-14. Kansas City had 14 yards on 16 plays.
Wild. We talked about a prop on this show that ended up cashing at a massive number. No hyperbole. You could talk about this for as long as you live if you bet it. We'll tell you what it was next here on VSiN.
This is Follow the Money on VSiN.
Welcome back. We are doing the aftermath of Super Bowl 59. Yes, we're live in downtown Las Vegas from Circa Resort and Casino. Again, the Eagles 40, Chiefs 22. Absolute massacre yesterday. Paulie, as you said first segment, that score is absolutely misleading. It was much worse than that. I mean, that thing is 37-6. 5 minutes into the fourth quarter, it's 40-6 with under 5 minutes to play in the game. And so some people love the Eagles going into the game. We're talking money line. We're talking -6.5, 10.5, 13.5, all the outs basically. We talked to one of them last Thursday. Our buddy Paul Charchian, who came on every single week throughout the football season, came on the show, gave advice for his best prop bets, but also had this to say about the Eagles.
I got Eagles in a one-sided affair. Were I able to bet in Minnesota, I'd be betting money line, and then I would be laddering all the way to basically max, -13.5 points for Philly. I think the roster differential is massive.
Oh.
I think the offensive and defensive line mismatches are absurd, a little bit like the Tampa loss that the Chiefs took. This is a really, really good Philly team in every area. Pass defense, run offense, pass offense. That's what makes this Philly team so hard to scheme against. They do everything well. Meanwhile, the Chiefs, they're a pretty good run defense. They're a pretty good pass defense. They are a bad running team, and they are a middling passing team. There are so many advantages outside of coaching, quarterback, and kicker for the Eagles that I think the Eagles have got some blowout to them here.
Damn. Now that is strong. Wow, was that good. And we welcome in the man who said that last Thursday, Paul Charchian, here on the Progressive Guest Line. That must have felt pretty good to listen to again, huh?
Well, honestly, yes. I don't get to do a lot of victory laps. We'll take that one. I don't know. This is one of the few times where being fantasy guy and analyzing all the individual matchups, the player-by-player matchups deep on one game, I'm like, I've got 5 or 6 individual matchups I love on the Eagles. I don't have any that I like on the Chiefs. And so this was a case where I think being fantasy guy really did pay off pretty well. My personal MVP, Howie Roseman, to be number one. I mean, look at what he's built. He has 10 bona fide superstars at under the age of 26 on that roster. My MVP 2 is Vic Fangio for this game, who had an amazing defensive scheme. And MVP 3, Matt Nagy, who got obliterated by Fangio at the outset and had no response. I'd love to give Matt Nagy MVP rights on this game too.
Yep. Well said. How about your call on Smith? As he had a big game, and I didn't see this market, but a couple of our listeners took a bad beat. They bet Smith longest touchdown, and then the crap late with Worthy beat.
Oh, yes. Brutal, right? Yeah, they had the long touchdown to Smith, and then, obviously the backups for the Eagles ultimately gave up that long touchdown to Xavier Worthy at the end. That's a rough beat. And the other part of the Devonta Smith analysis that was a little tough, the over was 4.5 receptions. He had 2 right away, and then he got to 4 early in the second. They just didn't have to throw again.
Yeah.
And so while he had plenty of yards, and you could ladder up the yards all the way up to this, I think 69 that he finished at, one short of the 70 point that would have been really nice to have. But the people that bet the reception over didn't quite get paid there, even though he had a very impactful game.
Right. When did you think it was over?
10-0. And at 10-0, I'm like, this is going exactly wrong for the Chiefs. Everything that couldn't happen is happening here. They can't run at all. And you knew they were going to abandon the run early in this game for the reasons we outlined last Thursday, with all the trouble that they've had getting a good running game going with Kareem Hunt. We outlined all of his futility stats on Thursday. We urged you to take the under. And then once they knew they were going to pass, once the Chiefs were in pass only mode, wow, the Eagles just were able to just roar at him and find him in the pocket. And Matt Nagy doing none of the things that he could have done that would have helped his quarterback. Mahomes' average time to hold the ball was 3.5 seconds. Well, 3.3 seconds, way too long.
Yeah.
Nagy should have responded with fast, quick hitting plays, open or not. I mean, just get rid of the ball quickly. He should have had more moving pockets so that the defense didn't know exactly where Mahomes was going to be. And then, of course, the fact that they got all the pressure they got, never blitzing. It just, what a masterpiece by the Eagles, and, the punchless Chiefs with no response whatsoever.
I got to say, that's pretty strong, because Paulie, it is still Mahomes. And as Paulie was saying in the first hour, he's asking me the same question. It felt to me like the game should have been way more out of hand, like early, mid-second quarter, right? Like the Eagles were kind of like going to be shooting themselves in the foot over and over and over again. Like, guys, the lead should be bigger than what it is. I don't think I was super comfortable with that feeling until probably 17-0, and then Mahomes throws the second INT, and I'm like, okay, I don't think they can come back from this.
Yeah, and that was I think for most people that's probably when it started to look like and feel like a blowout at that point. Now, if you're Tom Brady, you didn't necessarily acknowledge that on air, and you weren't really talking about how badly Mahomes played, which was too bad. I think that was a missed opportunity for him, but that was, I think for a lot of people, 17-0 is when it started to feel like a blowout. But, just this was the game script that the Chiefs could not have, and obviously went down exactly as feared.
I'll ask you this, because I would agree. I mean, that was, throw it out there and say that it was maybe Mahomes' worst game ever, because he was not good. I mean, the passes, the missed passes, the INTs, ugly from him. However, and we're talking to Paul Charchian here on the fantasy, our fantasy guest throughout the entire year on the Progressive Guest Line. How many quarterbacks in the league do you think would have looked good yesterday?
Not many. I mean, just, the pressure was overwhelming. It would have had to be one of the handful of quarterbacks that either could have physically found their way out of some of those sacks and then rumbled downfield and turned a potential sack into a long gain. Had the Bills been here, I think they would have fared much better. Had it been Josh Allen, or you would have had to have a quarterback who can make lightning fast decisions in the pocket and get rid of the ball really, really quickly. And there's just a couple of those. And, Mahomes he was coming off a year that was good, not great, so he wasn't coming in, as playing as well as he had in prior years and entering other Super Bowls. Mm-hmm. And, a lot of that just continued here. And Mahomes had to be otherworldly, not just, he had to be otherworldly, and you can't always be that way.
Yeah. All right. Yeah. So we're bringing you on here to Peacock, but keep in mind next year when you're very strong on something and it goes sideways, we're going to have to bring you back on and say, Charge, what the hell happened there?
And that happens. I'll remind people, I was the guy in the preseason that was like, Saquon Barkley, I don't know, he might be done. All the numbers are going the wrong way. His quarterback's going to steal like 15 of his touchdowns. I was nervous about Saquon Barkley in the preseason and didn't draft him on many teams. And that was my worst call of the year. So if I'm going to peacock now, I should at least acknowledge that.
You know what? I traded him in a keeper league, dynasty league. Now, this was the last year that any owner could have him in that league. So I was like, I got to see if I can move him right now. But based on what you were just saying, like I kind of agreed, like the guy's injury prone. I'm not fully on board with him just to, spike and have an amazing season, and blah, totally dead wrong on that, obviously.
Yeah. And speaking of Saquon, if I had shown you Saquon Barkley's box score only from this game, I just said, I showed you the Barkley box score and said, what's the final score? You might have flipped the scores on this thing. The fact that the Eagles were able to do what they did without Barkley being a significant part of this offense was, it was a testament to Hurts and Smith in this passing game. And that was, credit the Eagles for just being so well-rounded in all parts of their team that their defense could carry it, their passing game could carry it. When the running game wasn't there for like the only time all year, they still won in a blowout. So, credit them for just being such a good all-around team that they were able to overcome that. Really impressive.
Yep, spot on. Dynamite call from you last week. Thanks for popping on today to go over with us one more time, Charge.
Yeah, thanks for a great season, guys. We'll
Back
talk to you.
Thank you, buddy.
We'll talk to you in April. Bye-bye.
Yep, sounds good. There you go. Paul Charchian, season-long guest with us here on the Progressive Guest Line.
What a way to close. And they set a record. 55 points in the NFC title game and 40 points last night. And it could have been a lot more.
Yeah, I felt that way. Right away, first quarter, second quarter, like, guys, come on here. Like, what are you doing?
It's too easy. Like, remember the drive to start the third quarter? It was 3rd and 5. He just Hurts takes off, piece of cake, no problem, right?
Yep.
The stuff to Brown, the stuff to Smith. I mean, it was just too easy.
It was too easy that way, but also it was too easy for them on defense. It was way too easy for them on defense.
Yeah, right.
I mean, every single time that Mahomes was dropping back to pass early in the game and hanging on, like he said, where are the adjustments? Guys, it's going to be potentially here a long day against that front four. You might want to get the ball out of his hands a little bit quicker.
Al Lasso said left tackle's a problem. It's a mismatch in most spots with Philly with their talent, and he just thought the Chiefs were lucky and misleading. And the record, but every break went their way, and how they pulled, the Denver game, the Raider game, the Carolina game.
Sure.
And just thought they were phony. And he was right. The Houston game. Remember, Houston was all over Mahomes in that game,
sure,
too. Anderson was wreaking havoc. So the O-line was a big problem.
Win some, lose some is up next. Paulie will recap the entire game from a betting standpoint. We also have a strong candidate for Bad Beat of the Year. That's next here on VSiN.
This is Follow the Money on VSiN.
Fun NBA card tonight. Exciting debut in Los Angeles as Luka is going to be playing for the Lakers. They're huge favorites against the Jazz. Also, Paulie, they're playing great basketball as a side note. And we head to L.A. right now. Arash Markazi joins the program. He is the founder and CEO of the Sporting Tribune. He's on the Progressive Guest Line. Do I have this right? You were in New Orleans at the Super Bowl last night, and now you're going to be in L.A. at this game tonight?
Yeah, just kind of like a quick turnaround, but saw a kind of a dud of a game, but I enjoyed the halftime show. I know that's polarizing as well, depending on if folks out there are Kendrick Lamar fans. But yes,
scale from 1 to 10. When you go back, 2 Saturdays ago now, your level of shock when you saw the trade come down.
I mean, it's 10. It'll forever be the most shocking trade for me in sports history, because when you talk about a team trading a 25-year-old, 5-time first-team All-NBA, led you to the NBA Finals just a few months ago. I mean, we've seen big-name players get traded. That's mainly because they're either demanding a trade or they've, fallen off. I mean, generally the prime of one's career, 26 or 27, 31 or 30, like he's not even in his prime. So for them to trade him for a package, we like the entire league and the fan base knew that the Lakers had 2 first-round picks to work with. They also had some young pieces, the Dalton Connect and Austin Reeves and what. Like the fact that the Lakers made this trade for Davis, Max Christie, and 1 first-round pick. Not a second pick, not a pick swap, not Austin Reeves, who just dropped 45 points, not Dalton Connect. Like, the package is still crazy to me.
And AD gets hurt and might be out a month. The trade gets worse by the day. I'm stunned.
Yeah, I mean, and here's the thing. I mean, the Lakers really traded Davis at the absolute, peak of his trade value in the sense that, listen, he's never been more healthy during probably a 2-year span. But if we're being honest, like, this wasn't continued. And to be honest, when they traded him, he was hurt. But the thought process was that he was going to be back over the weekend, which he was. And then now he gets hurt. And guys, like, if he's out a month, that's the best case scenario. I mean, there's a scenario here where he has to have surgery and he's out for the season, which is absolutely catastrophic. You make this trade, why? To win the finals. You already went to the NBA finals with Luka. So, like, you don't even make this trade to get back to the finals because you were just there. It's a little bit like the Matthew Stafford, Jared Goff trade. I mean, the Rams only did that to win the Super Bowl. They got to the Super Bowl with Goff. They realized, like, if we're going to win this thing, we need to make this trade. They traded for Stafford. They won. So that trade will be a success. But, man, I mean, I just, like, even if Davis is healthy and I look at that Mavs team and I'm like, they're good, but they got a short shelf life and they got to win now. And so if Davis is out for a month or more, they're in a tough spot.
All right, so what are the expectations for tonight then? At DraftKings right now, Lakers a huge favorite. They're laying 12 points against Utah. The total's up to 236 in this game, and the team has been blazing hot on offense, going back a good 5 or 6 games. Luka's points prop tonight, Arash, is 27.5. Is he going to play enough minutes to potentially go over that number?
So that's a big question for me. Is I'm so fascinated by how Luka's going to play this second half, quote unquote, second half of the season. I don't know if we're really going to see that tonight, just because of a restriction, perhaps. But the amount of crap that the Mavs front office, the ownership, the president, the leakage that they've dumped on this guy. This, generally speaking, right? Like Jordan and players like LeBron, they have to create like a chip. It's like, guys, like, you're already the best. Like, no one's saying this stuff. For them to publicly come out and say what they've said about Luka, I don't know if we'll see it tonight, but the next time, and I know it's going to be coming up soon, when the Lakers play the Mavs, take the over. I think this guy's going to put up 60 on them.
Wow.
He's going to come out so pissed off in that game.
Yeah.
One would think anyway, right?
Yeah.
Oh, for sure.
How about how the team's playing now? So now you get one of the best players in the NBA to join up and make his debut tonight. They've won 9 of 10 and 5 in a row. And then you sit people Saturday, and Reeves, only the 6th Laker all time to have 45, 7, and 7 in a game? Do you think this team can make a deep postseason run now?
Yeah, I mean, so here's the thing. I mean, the problem with the deep run is there's no size, there's no center. And again, I know everyone was excited about the Mark Williams deal, but the fact of the matter is, if he wasn't going to be healthy, if they were going to make that trade and he was going to be hurt, you would rather have that you would rather know that before the trade becomes official. They're going to be a very exciting regular season team to watch. How deep they can go, we'll see. But I'm so fascinated to watch tonight for the first time, non-like All-Star game, LeBron and Luka as teammates, because one of the big reasons that this run has happened is LeBron. I mean, and we've talked about this for a while, but like, we've never seen a player at 40 doing what he's doing. I mean, triple-doubles, 30-point triple-doubles. I mean, if LeBron's going to play like that, and if Luka can become the player he was a year ago, which I think he can, who knows what this team can do? You have 2 of the smartest players and 2 of the greatest playmakers on the same team.
Yeah, the points scored here by this team now going back 134, 128, 122, 120, and 124, all in wins. When the deal first happened, Arash, my reaction was, well, let's see here. It's Luka, LeBron, Austin Reeves, all 3 players, very ball dominant. How do you think that's going to work with all 3 of those guys on the court at the same exact time?
I mean, because here's the thing, and I agree with you, but LeBron for years has really wanted to play the facilitator role. I mean, he's really not – I think he's really done this out of necessity, but he's really wanted to kind of say, hey, listen, I'd rather pass the baton. And he wanted to pass the torch to Davis. It didn't happen. So I really think when you have two of the smartest players in the league on the court, they're going to figure out a way to make it work. So I do want to give them some time to figure things out. I think we're all going to be tuned in tonight thinking it's going to be showtime from night one. And I do think that they'll have their moment. But give them a few games, give them a few practices, and I'm really excited to see what these two can potentially do together.
At full strength from now until the end of the season, who's better, you think, the Lakers or the Clippers?
I think the Lakers, I don't know why the Clippers have kind of hit a wall. And listen, I mean, this was a lot of the pundits out there didn't really think that this was a contending team. I always thought that they were a playoff team. I mean, there were some out there who didn't really think this was a playoff team, when they lost Paul George. I don't know what Ben Simmons can give them. But listen, there's a big question here, and they've never had this happen since 2020. If Kawhi can be healthy in the postseason, this team has a chance. Mm-hmm. I don't think that they have a chance to win it all, but I do think that they have a chance to win a playoff series.
Well said. What grade do you give Redick? And do you think he can be a good coach?
Yeah, I give him a B and like a solid B. I mean, I think like he's really done the most with what he can. I'm very interested and intrigued with what he's going to do with Luka. He's always been such a big Luka fan, and if you haven't tuned in, he had Luka on his podcast a couple of times, and hearing those guys talk about the game was really kind of interesting, and it was great like at the time. But now knowing that there's going to be a player-coach dynamic, really intrigued with what they can do. But listen, if JJ, has this team as a, top 6 seed, so they're not in the play-in tournament, if they can win a first-round game, again, I know that's not the expectation for the Laker fan base. But when you talk about a team that got bounced in round one the way that they did, I think if he can win a playoff series, that is a successful first season.
Yeah, enjoy the game tonight and follow Arash on X. He's at Arash Markazi all over social media as well, and the Sporting Tribune. Thank you, buddy. We appreciate it.
My pleasure. I'll talk to you soon.
There you go. He was on the Progressive Guest Line. DraftKings already has a bunch of player props up for that Mavericks game against the Lakers on February 25th.
Yeah.
Luka, 40-plus points is plus 310.
This one's tough tonight with his props because it could be a blowout, minutes restriction, right? Coming back.
I mean, I'd like to say I'm going to bet the under on it, but then if he has 24 at halftime, I'm going to be like, why did I do that bet? That was stupid.
Yeah.
But everything you're saying makes sense. Utah stinks. I mean, the Lakers are playing elite right now offensively.
How about this? How about how well they're playing?
I know.
Yeah, I know. I don't care for the report today. That Dave McMenamin report. LeBron. I begged them to trade the picks, and now they do it. Yeah, well, he's 25. You're late 30s, 40 years old. The guy's 25. Attention all serious sports bettors. If you're thinking about playing in the 2025 Circa Millions or Survivor, get ahead of the game. Winner's Circle Proxy and VSiN get exclusive offers, including a drawing for a free Circa contest entry with proxy service. Lock it in. winnerscircleproxy.com/VSiN. winnerscircleproxy.com/VSiN.
A legacy discussion is up next. Another great example of how football is a team game.
This is Follow the Money on VSiN.
Loaded card tonight in the NBA. Some really good games on the schedule, and professional sports bettor Aaron Renning joins the program now to discuss. He is on the Progressive Guest Line. What's shaking, ER? How are you?
I'm doing pretty well, guys. Good to be on with you, and a little hungover figuratively and mentally here today.
Before we get into the card tonight, can you tell us about this prop that you found at Station Casinos out here? It was a cross-sport prop with Luka against the Chiefs.
Yeah, again, of props to props, and I give credit to stations for doing this, and Chuck, they do a good job. But for me, guys, I don't bet props every week. For me, it's kind of for the NFL, I just, I certainly do bet some maybe in the conference championships and the Super Bowl. But the first thing I do, again, other guys are doing this way better than me at a higher level than I am. The first thing that I do, though, is I always try to go and find the cross-sport parlays. Or I'm sorry, the cross-sport props that deal with the NBA, because that's my expertise. Westgate always does a good job with them. Circa had some up. And, I saw that at stations where Luka, the key here was his first game against the Mavs, which I think is on February the 25th, his point total versus the Kansas City point total. And, with that, I bet Kansas City team total under to begin with. So I like that to start with. And I think Humans actually got it at -5. I laid 5.5, but I would just assuming the prop for Luka was going to be about 34 in that game. So I thought it was a good bet. So, I was able to play that.
Well, so the Eagles ended up, the Chiefs scored 22 yesterday. My God, how good is that prop looking? They had 6 points ER late in the fourth quarter.
Yeah, right. That certainly, like I said, I had first half under, and just kind of the way that blew up on me as well. And, Luka's still got to play. I hate to, he could re-injure that calf before he goes out, and he could re-injure it in the game, but you would certainly expect him to be pretty motivated for that game, right?
You had a good line before you came on. There were 62 points scored in the game, yet look how many player props went under.
Oh, it's really insane. I did not, I lost money on props. I thought the way it was going to play out, I bet Mahomes over completions. I had him over rush yards because I thought he was going to get a lot of, empty yards, if the Eagles were leading. And, he couldn't even do that. He didn't even have enough time to be able to hit those props. So, yeah, it was, I do very well with the totals, and you had about 42 points worth of yards, give or take, in that game, and then obviously they scored 62. So, yeah, it's just kind of a crazy outcome. And you get that. I tell you what, guys, the more you bet these Super Bowls, I think you get the truer outcome in the first half, really. The second halves get crazy.
Great point. Looks like Steph Curry has been upgraded to available from questionable. That was a minute ago, as the Warriors are playing in Milwaukee tonight, and Golden State laying about 6.5, a 7 on the screen as well. What are your thoughts on this game, ER?
This was my biggest bet of the night. I bet Golden State this morning. I don't know if you had a status for Lillard, but he was downgraded to questionable this AM, and obviously, I figured Steph would play, but he was on the injured list from last night. So, it's now or never. Let's be honest. Golden State right now, 10th or 11th in the Western Conference. They get Jimmy Butler. They had a great second half the other night. I think you're going to have some bad nights with Steph Curry and Butler. You see these guys with age like LeBron and Steph, where you see their greatness. You saw it with Steph in the second half the other night against the Bulls. You see it with LeBron here lately. But they're just not consistently great that they were earlier in the career. So that's kind of it. I've been betting against the Bucks, which is no surprise to anybody who's listened to me. But they have been kind of a mess here of late. I think they're 1-6 against the spread. Their last 7, obviously the win against Philadelphia yesterday. So back-to-back, tough spot. The Western Conference over the Eastern Conference, how much you guys want to get into that, but it's been really good since about January 1st, so that kind of got me to a bigger bet here.
I think Brian Windhorst mentioned this on his podcast a while back. Give me the numbers. How bad is it?
Since January 1st, just the Western Conference versus the Eastern Conference, 86 and 58 straight up. But here's the key thing for us bettors. It's 80, 61, and 3, 57 against the spread. That's just across the board.
Wow.
So it was just kind of a perfect storm where, you get this in-season tournament. So, the first 2 months, month and a half of the year, you really get Western Conference playing Western Conference, Eastern Conference playing Eastern Conference. And then it's really, after the tournament, it kind of crosses over here. And, you had some of these teams that like Orlando, Philadelphia, that were expected to be good and, at times have been good.
Right.
So that Eastern Conference just has not been good.
All right, so there's 3 angles like that tonight. That was one of them, Golden State and Milwaukee. How about 2 others that fit the bill?
Yeah, I bet them both. I bet San Antonio here over Washington. Again, these are definitely smaller plays for me, and I bet Minnesota against Cleveland. And just to talk about it, I mean, here you have Cleveland 42-10, obviously kind of cruising here in the Eastern Conference. And you're just going to have some games where they're focused, like Boston, and then now you're probably going to have games where they're just not quite as focused, sitting guys where. Minnesota sitting at the 6th seed, all these games are very important to them for the most part. The last I saw, Edwards was questionable. I'm guessing he's going to play here. Just on air, I haven't seen that with you guys. And then kind of the same thing for San Antonio. I would assume, you trade for Fox, trying to get into the playoff mix or at least the play-in in Washington. Obviously, dreadful at 9-43. So. Took a shot with both those smaller bets tonight.
All right. Edwards, as of 6 minutes ago, listed available to play in this game tonight.
Okay, right.
Okay, so there you go. What else do you have on your in your portfolio for tonight, ER?
I got actually quite a few bets here tonight. We added Minnesota, as we mentioned there. Bet some earlier, bet some more now. I bet I laid it with the Magic against the Hawks. I also bet that game over the total. And, Orlando's just been a dead under team all season long. And that's another trend, Paulie. Yep. The overs have been killing. It's hard to cash an under here lately in the NBA. I mean, it's just, I don't know. It's been about a 57% against the spread over the last month on overs. And if you take Orlando Magic, it's probably 60%. They've been a dead under team, but as they've gotten some of these guys healthy now, Wagner and Banchero, Suggs is out. I think he's probably a little bit better for the under. So, and Atlanta, I mean, they're all tempo and Trae Young, and I do kind of wonder where this Hawks team is kind of sitting right now. Obviously, the 9th seed here, but you trade away Hunter, you trade away Bogdanovich. I mean, it just takes a little bit of focus off this year. So I came in with Orlando. I bet that game over. The total is mentioned as well. Another game, and boy, this one's kind of always a little bit tougher now, but I played the Miami. As I talk about a hard time catching these unders, but I did bet the Heat under the total. Hero's out tonight. I believe Brown is out for Boston, Holiday as well. But, I mean, this for Miami, that offensive team, I mean, it's all revolved around Hero this year, and he's been tremendous. I think he's only missed one game, so came with them. And then you have to also understand Miami's kind of gone double big here. They put the rookie in at center with Ware and Adebayo, so kind of that double bigs. It's really helped them from a defensive standpoint. They add Wiggins tonight in the fold, so he's expected to play. So this Heat team has really kind of gone to the defensive, and especially with Hero out tonight. Yeah,
great stuff. Follow the money here on VSiN, the Sports Betting Network. Our guest, professional sports bettor Aaron Renning. He's on the Progressive Guest Line. About a minute left here, ER. I had the Blazers over the weekend against the Wolves. I'm still trying to figure out how I lost that bet. They were outscored by, I think, $1 million in the fourth quarter to lose that one. What do you think of this spot tonight against Denver?
I did bet Portland here for a little bit, and props to Paulie. He was on the Blazers early here. Not for me. And, coaching is always, we talk about coaching, and in the NBA, for me, it's more about getting the most out of your players and motivation than X and O's. And you got to give Billups credit for what he's done with this roster. He sat Scoot Henderson down at the first of the year, said, you got to turn it around. You got to play a lot harder. You got to play defense. It maybe turned his career around, to be honest. Mm-hmm. Kind of the same thing about mid-January. They took Shaedon Sharpe out of the starting lineup, getting Ayton to be a leader and getting him to play. That's not an easy task as well. I mean, the best defensive team since January 1st in the NBA. Kamaro's just been a beast. So, I went and I got a little Portland plus 9.5 here tonight.
Very good. Great stuff, ER. Good to talk to you. Best of luck. Let's grab a bite soon.
For sure, guys. Take care. Thanks.
There you go. He was on the Progressive Guest Line. G-Bank bet of the night tonight. You know what? Pizza money. Sabonis triple-double plus 525.
Go get it. Also, a 3-pointer, 17 to the last 18. G-Bank, official bank of VSiN. Apply now, VSiN.com/GBank. Subject to credit approval, VSiN.com/GBank.
In pocket plays, we'll recap our Super Bowl bets as well. Coming up next here on VSiN.